A lesson on Pate Sucree. I'm using my favorite Pate Sucree recipe from pastry chef Nancy Silverton. It's really uncomplicated and easy to prepare. I'm going to use a food processor and mix my dough using a method known as the sablage or sanding mixing method, where we combine fat and flour until it resembles a coarse cornmeal. Because this is a sweet dough, I also incorporated the sugar inside. So I first blended my sugar and flour together, and now I'm incorporating cold butter. I've already chopped it up a bit, and now this will allow my flour to coat my fat. You'll need just a few spins on a food processor. It goes very, very quickly, and it's going to resemble a cornmeal texture. So I'm just going to take a spatula so that I could see that I don't have any large chunks of fat remaining. And if I do, I'll spin it just for a few more moments. I don't want it to turn into a paste. I just want to keep it a sandy texture. Pate Sucree recipes contain whole eggs. This one contains egg yolk and heavy cream, which further tenderizes the dough. If you wish to add flavor to your dough, you can infuse the flavor into the heavy cream by heating the heavy cream and adding an ingredient such as vanilla bean or orange zest or ginger. It needs to be something that's going to complement your filling, or you could just leave it plain. And plain in this case is pretty good because it's has such a high percentage of butter and sugar, so it's hard to for this not to be good. You will need to process just long enough for the dough to come together, and once it does, remove it and you could further give it just a tad bit of kneading on the countertop. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it together and make one nice mound with it. I don't want any dry bits just sort of floating around on it. So make sure it's all incorporated together in a neat little package. Flatten it out. It should not be a fat ball. And then wrap it up into plastic and refrigerate it and allow it to rest. I scaled it out so I know how many tarts I'll be able to make from this. So I'm going to form it into my plastic wrap and determine the amount so that each one will be the same. Once I've determined the sizes, I'm going to wrap these in plastic wrap and I'm going to allow them to rest in the refrigerator. Allowing them to rest in the refrigerator is relaxing the gluten, so it's easy to roll out later. Also, I want to chill the dough because chilling this dough, which contains a lot of fat, will make it easier to roll out. If you left it out, it would warm up, it would melt the fat, and it becomes quite a beast to work with. So follow those instructions and you will be good. So now my dough is ready to be rolled out. If you start off round, you'll end up with round. Make sure you are using all-purpose flour or bread flour to roll out your dough. Give it a little 1-inch turn in either direction continuously. Slide it around into the flour so that it does not get stuck to the board. Doing this will help you achieve a more rounded shape since you're going into a round vessel for baking. I'm going to take this down to not thinner than 1/8 of an inch in thickness. A little different than with your pie dough. The pie dough, the filling was the main attraction. With tarts, the dough or your crust is the main attraction, so it should not be too thin. I roll the dough onto my rolling pin and unroll it into the tart shell pan. And then I come around the sides to take away the extra. So I'm pressing down onto the pan itself. And I'm trying to build a little extra around the edge, which is where the the dough is most delicate. I took notice that some spots were a little thin around the edges, so I'm going to go back in and add a few more pieces of dough. It blends right in because of the richness of the dough. Once I'm satisfied, I'm going to dock my dough. I'm going to just use a fork, and docking the dough is going to prevent blistering on the bottom of the dough. So, and then from there, I'm going to finish it out with some pie weights. I used plastic wrap that's oven proof for my pie weights. You could also use parchment paper, and it's going to go into a preheated oven at 350 degrees. It will bake or blind bake, and then I will remove my weights after about 12 minutes of baking. And then I will continue to bake it without the pie weights for an additional 12 to 15 minutes. And I'm looking for a nice golden brown color. I need a completely baked tart shell for the filling that I'm going to put into it that's also cooked. And that is it for your lesson on Pate